Happy Sunday morning. All right, I told you guys on Instagram that I had a special treat for you today, and that is my mom is in town. So I convinced her to go live with me today to answer some of your questions about me and childhood and growing up. So I've gotten requests from you guys. Hi, Vias. I've gotten requests from you guys asking me about my childhood and tell us about it. So I thought, who better to answer questions about my childhood than my mom? So she will be joining us in probably 10 minutes or so. So, Vias, you're the only one here right now. Do you have any questions for me before we get started with everyone? Oh, Lily's here now. Hi, Lily. Hope you're having a better week than you did last week. Angela is here. Hello, Angela. Let me see if I can lower this. Why did Karen at the Christmas party say, and I told her, you're fired? You know, the thing about filmmaking is, when you do screenwriting, the best way to do screenwriting is to start a scene, never at the beginning of the scene, always in the middle of the scene. So, hey Amber, that represented like I was already telling a great story to my friends and the camera just happened to cut in partway through it. Hey Karen, welcome. So you never, in filmmaking and in screenwriting, you never want to see the beginnings and the ends of scenes. It's better to just cut in the middle of it so you're not having all the boring stuff. Hey Ethan, hey Jada, hey Race, hey WWE Motors, hey Jarrell. So you guys are in for a special treat today, as you guys probably know if you saw it on my Instagram page, but my mom is in town visiting from Minnesota, and I convinced her, hey Jolene, I'm gonna put this a little lower because my mom is short. Okay, so she'll be here soon. What was I saying? I convinced her to be on the call. Ishan, hi Frank. Hi Games with Ames, Army. Hey Mafa Da. Sorry if I butchered your name. Lily's saying Melbourne's on lockdown still, huh? That stinks. SXME, hello. Jolene, I am doing great. I'm excited that my mom is visiting me now and you guys will get to meet her soon.
Try the new Epic Trail Joe's
Hi,
flavor.
Orly.
It's peach flavor. I know you can see it because it's in memo mode.
Okay. Okay, Eli. Okay, Timmy, this is not a commercial.
Yeah,
so,
this is a commercial.
It's not a commercial.
Oh, One Block Plan just joined server. Love your channel. Thank you, One Block Plan.
Oh, it's getting a little hectic here.
Bye.
Say hi.
Oh, and by the way, this is Pluto.
Okay, Eli, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work while we're doing the live stream.
Bye.
Okay. Visor VF Muhammad said I came for Timmy. Okay, Eli. Can somebody take that recorder away from Eli? This is gonna get hectic otherwise. Hi guys. Oh my gosh. Games with Ames. He can play better than I can play. Oh my gosh. I sometimes hide that and then I don't know how he finds it. So nobody is singing. It's Eli blowing on the... Catherine Norland, thanks for an amazing channel. Oh, thank you so much. Your son gave us a chuckle. Yeah, he eats these bars and then he got so excited because they came out with a new flavor. So that's what he was showing you. They're from Trader Joe's. I don't know if you have Trader Joe's where you live, but it's like a healthy grocery store that doesn't put chemicals or preservatives or artificial colors or flavors in their food. And it's cheap, believe it or not. Okay, your kids are the most entertaining thing about your live streams. Well, hey, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna have you guys do the Q&A with Timothy and Elijah. We'll see how that goes. All right, see you guys next week. Race, I'm a big fan of the Dhar Mann videos. Me too. Where's my mom? So people are asking where she is. I told her she could come 10 minutes late because you guys know I like to teach. I always like to teach before we start. But how did Ayden Mekus get his first role with Dhar Mann? I don't know how he did. I'm assuming he auditioned just like I did. I have to take that recorder away from Eli or it's going to annoy me the whole time. I don't know if you can hear it, but come here, Eli. Come here. Come here. Ah, got it. No. Yeah. No recorder. No. Oh, no recorder. This is not.
My toy.
No, this is not funny. This is not funny. Okay, well, you know what? Zaluka, Fazal, you can just leave. If you don't like it, you can just leave. This is for people to, we're all spreading love here, so.
You want to try a new flavor?
No, I don't want to try any. I took a bite last night. Hey.
Oh, do you
stop
like
putting these- Yeah, okay. Take that recorder away from Eli, please. Eli has talent. Oh, that's funny. Timmy, go in the other room. Go in the other room. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you guys have asked me to do a vlog. This is all it would be. It would just be, this is a day in the life. Just write that. That's right there. There's crying and screaming, usually from both of them. Okay, so before I start, I like to do a little teachings. I've been reading from that one book, but I thought I'd give you a break from that book and just read a paragraph from... Okay, Amber, moderators, make sure that Zaluka guy isn't putting mean things on my stream here because nobody needs to read negativity right now. Okay. All right. So yeah, once again, a different room. Oh yeah. Okay, so today, before my mom gets here in a couple minutes to answer all your questions about my growing up and my childhood and all of that, I'm going to read just a paragraph, and I want to ask you guys, what is the quickest way to get out of pain? Hi, Karen from Greece. Hi, Masa. Okay, so, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I know, I'm so sorry. He took your toy. I told him to take your toy. I'm sorry. We can play with it after the live stream. Is that okay? Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, he took your toy. I told him to do that. I'm sorry. Well, so I don't know what's worse, the crying or the recorder. Okay. Do something which makes you stress-free. That's a great idea. Like gardening. I've been wanting to grow my own food. I don't think I have the space for it, but I have seen some of those in New York where they have like a gardening thing that goes up, like the wall, a tall one. Have I ever been to Portugal? No, I haven't. So I'll get to your guys' questions after I talk just a smidge about what's the quickest way to get out of pain. Now, I'm reading this book for the second time. I read it years ago, and I'm reading it again. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Stephen Brown. Okay, so I picked out this section because a lot of you guys contact me when you're going through stuff in life and you're having problems and you're not sure what to do. So let me tell you about a guy, a man who was sitting on a tack. Do you guys know what a tack is? It's a pokey like pin. It pierces you. It's like thicker than a needle and thicker than a pin. So this guy was sitting on a tack. And a psychologist came by, and the guy was hurting. The tack was hurting. A psychologist came by and he said, "Sir, the reason you're hurting is due to childhood trauma. You need therapy." Then a sociologist came by and he saw the man was hurting and he said, "You've got a problem. And it's obviously the result of the kind of environment in which you grew up. Hurt is from an improper environment." And then an economist came by and he said, money is the root of all hurt. Let me help you manage your money and your portfolio. Then a minister came by and he said, if you learn to praise the Lord in all your circumstances, you won't hurt so much. Your spiritual life leads something that can be desired. It needs to be more. Start reading your Bible and praying every day and it will get better. And then finally, a little girl came by and she said, hey, mister, why don't you get off the tack? So how many of you guys in your life are sitting on a tack? Something painful is going on in your life, but instead of addressing the real problem, you're trying to get therapy about it. You're trying to talk to about it. You're trying to medicate it. You're trying to meditate. You're trying to pray when really you need to just get off the tack. So does that ring true to any of you? Lily says, I've been through it before. How many times do we have people in our life or whatever certain circumstance, someone that keeps hurting us, keeps pestering us, keeps bullying us, keeps doing whatever, and it's like, well, why are you still hanging out with them? Or why are you still seeing that person, or whatever it is? Oh, I get pain every time I hit myself with that hammer. Then why are you hitting yourself with that hammer? Why are you starving yourself? Why are you cutting yourself? Let's, get off the tack, whatever it is in life. Okay? So, Mom, whenever you're ready, I think people are anxious to meet you. Frank says my tack is most humans these days. Well, I guess you can move to the jungle and just hang around the animals. There's somebody I follow on YouTube that has done that. All right, so here comes Arlene, my beautiful mama.
Hi.
So, any questions you have for me? Any questions you have for my mama? Lily is saying, hi, Arlene.
Hi.
Okay. So somebody asked what a tack was. A tack is like a pin or something sharp. Okay, what about your Instagram account? The Instagram account should be back to normal now. Okay, some said this is the first time seeing your mom. Yes, because she lives in Minnesota and I live in California. So that's So any questions you have for us about childhood or my upbringing? I know you guys, some of you have asked me, was Katherine a good child?
Pretty much so. I really didn't have any problems with her. Once in a while, maybe she made bad choices, but don't we all?
Someone asked, was she a troublemaker when she was a little girl?
No, I don't think so. Her and her brother fought, but I don't know, what initiated it. Was it her or him? But sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry. Okay. Let's see. What is your favorite thing to do, Mom?
Well, my favorite thing to do is decorating and entertaining and having a flower garden.
Oh, somebody wants to know. Here, bring that to me. Somebody wants to know if I was a rebel. Was I a rebel? Here, let me help.
Absolutely not.
I think she's giving me a glowing report. Okay, Frank asked, did you always know that Katherine would become famous?
Absolutely not. I thought perhaps she did work in a factory on a line assembling things
I
at
worked
one point.
in a factory on an assembly line. Did you hear that? So anything's possible for you guys.
And she worked in a donut shop. Can you imagine? In a donut shop.
I ate a lot of donuts. You should have seen how fluffy I was. Sorry, pardon me. I'm opening something for Eli. Okay. There you go. Okay. Oh, Dad, you want to take him? Okay, so let's see some more questions. Your mom is pretty, they said. Well, now you know where I get it from. Okay, let's see. They want to know if you went with me when I auditioned for Dhar Mann.
Of course not. I was in Minnesota.
And actually, it was not an in-person audition. I don't think they do in-person auditions. I don't know if they ever have. It's all like online. Okay, was Katherine a good kid in school?
Well, I will have to say I don't think she was an honorable student. She did not like school.
No, I hated it. Worst years of my life.
Well, I didn't either, but when I went to college, I was a straight A student, so, it comes around probably later than sooner.
Yeah, so what my mom is referring to is when I was one of the older students in class. So I turned 18 in October, so that's just a month after school started. And when you're 18, you can write your own notes. And I was making up excuses and writing down lies for why I was getting out of school. And I think the school sent a bunch of letters to my mom, but I must have got to the mailbox first. And I took all the letters and I hid them in this bench we have by our front door. And she found the letters from the school years later.
I couldn't believe how much school she missed. Unbelievable.
And so I may have had to lie a few times. One time, the whole class had the senior school pictures taken, and oh no, that was a different day. Oh, one day, my mom asked why I came home looking so tan, and I just lied and said we had gym class outside today when really my friends and I skipped school to go to Hinniker Pond and go lay out and get a suntan.
Yeah.
I'm just admitting this to her now.
Oh yeah, Henniker Pond was a big hangout for young people. Wasn't it a gravel pit at one time?
Yeah, it was a gravel pit that they blew up and blew a big hole in.
And filled it with water.
Yeah. So Frank asked, at what age did Katherine leave home?
At what age? Well, I believe after you graduated, you left.
Yeah, I
home,
was
didn't you?
18. I was 18.
18.
I left right away. Okay. You were wicked, someone said. What took you so long to tell the truth? Well, I guess it just never came up.
You had no reason to lie about it, huh?
Do you think Katherine is a good actor?
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of her Dhar Mann movies, and they're great.
Probably not as many as you guys have seen, but
Well, I've talked to a lot of people in Minnesota, and they watch it. In fact, the neighbor woman said to my husband, Katie's father, I know a woman that looks like her, but I just can't pinpoint who it is. And my husband had given her a picture of Katie on a little card, and she says, now I know she looks most like her mother than her father. She was living next door to me, and she didn't know who, I was supposed to have looked like.
Did Katherine ever get sent home from school?
Well, if she was sent home from school, she never made it to the house.
So if I did get sent home, I didn't come home to tell them about it. So.
No.
Someone said, I watch all your Dhar Mann videos. Do you have any siblings? I have a big brother. Your mom should be in Dhar Mann videos. She'd be great.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let's see if they're doing a mother-daughter episode before she leaves. Who knows? Is Katherine a good child? I guess that means currently.
Currently a good child? Well, I can't complain. I don't see her much, so I would never know.
She wouldn't know my wicked acts 2,000 miles away. Shalaka. Hi, Shalaka. Katherine, are you friends with Ricki? I think so. I think I'm friends with Ricki. Arlene, your daughter is a whiz at playing brash entertainers.
Really?
I think they mean when I play the bad guys on the Dhar Mann videos. What state have you not been in?
Quite a few. I travel mostly in Europe, Middle East, and Ireland, and Canada, and I traveled more abroad than I have in the United States.
Somebody's asking, do you remember when I got bullied in school?
In fact, you know how it is. You have persons you feel that are your best friends, and sometimes they're the meanest to you. Like one time, a mother called and said, you know, Catherine stole my daughter's softball glove. And I said, well, I don't think so because she doesn't even play softball and she's not interested in it. You know, they set their parents up to call and complain about her or whatever, you know. And so, but when she was younger and not in high school, we just gotten home from church one Sunday, and young kids in the park, the girls, took and tore her dress practically off her, and she had new black patent shoes, which were really a big thing then. And they took her shoes and they bent them in half, so they bent the shaft inside of it, and so ruined the shoes and ruined her dress. And I think they were somehow jealous of her, so to speak. And then when she was in dance, I guess that was more or less, well, you started dance before you went in high school. She was in dance lessons for 10 years. And a couple girls in the park facility that we lived in had got a hold of her and her girlfriend that was wearing one of her dance outfits. And they took knives and scissors and cut her costumes off from them, which, you know, I probably should have called the police because that's pretty vicious. But I wasn't in the habit of calling the police, you know. You know, they got other things to do, as long as my daughter and her friend were still alive.
Yeah, so they grabbed me and my friend, and we had these expensive dance costumes on because I was a dancer, and they grabbed us and were cutting the clothes off of us while we were wearing them. So yeah, it was pretty traumatic. I came home one of the many days I came home crying.
Well, another time too, a fella got a hold of your bike and ruined it, your new bike. And I found out the whole story later, but to begin with, what I knew was that he ruined her bike, and I thought he should be responsible for it, and I did call the cops that time. But afterwards, I found out why she allowed them to ruin her bike. Now you can tell the rest of the story.
I think I may have told this on a live before, but I took this self-help class, and they made us like call people that we needed to make amends with. And my mom, I wanted a new bike, and my mom had gotten me what I consider an ugly old lady bike. I was like 8 or 10, I don't know, 12. And she got me this like brown bike. To me, that looked like an old lady bike. It was like a 3-speed, and I wanted like a cool pink 10-speed or something. So I convinced these boys in the neighborhood to destroy my bike, and then I came home crying, telling my mom that they destroyed my bike when really I organized the whole operation. And I didn't tell her till like 20 years later.
But you know, then I told the policeman, well, I don't know if I believe that these boys went ahead and did this on their own, because, well, I told her, this is a new bike. This is the first and last new bike you're getting. And if this is ever destroyed, you're never going to get another one. So she gained absolutely nothing by it.
I gained nothing. I didn't get the cool pink 10-speed. I had to drive up the beaten out of the bike, which was no longer new anymore. Somebody wants to know if these are my real eyes.
Well, they're the ones that God gave you, so I don't know what else to say.
Was it when I was a baby, did I have 2 different colored eyes?
Well, they always were back in there, but lots of times baby's eyes look sort of bluish, grayish.
Uh-huh.
And then later on, the prevalence of them, one or the other.
I remember, well, I don't remember, but I remember you guys telling me one time I was 3 years old and I came home crying because the kids were making fun of me for having 2 different colored eyes. And that's when Dad told me I had angel eyes.
We had a figurine at home of an angel and had 2 green eyes. And he says, look at here, angels have green eyes. Well, they said, being you have 2 green eyes, your parents must be freaks or ugly or something.
You mean 2 different colored eyes?
Yeah, 2 different colored eyes.
The angel statue had 2 green eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody was, at age 3, was saying my parents must be freaks since I had 2 different colored eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been called lots of names since. Okay, so I've missed a whole bunch of questions while we were talking about that. So if I missed your question, go ahead and type it in again. Have you ever gotten detentions in school and not told your mom? I don't know, probably. I don't really remember a lot. I remember a couple detentions. I don't remember a lot of them. Okay, my mom has 2 different colored eyes, just like you, Ethan says. Did Catherine eat instant ramen noodles as a child?
I don't recall, but
Nah.
I'll tell you, her dad sure does. He buys
He does now?
a 12-pack,
Oh, yeah.
then he mixes cream of chicken or cream of mushroom in with it and peanuts, no less.
That sounds disgusting. Dad, what are you doing? Okay, how's Catherine as a mom? I believe she's the best mom. How is Catherine as a mom?
Well, she takes good care of her children. She loves her children.
What is your favorite Dhar Mann video that I've been in?
Favorite? How can I choose out of all those? I don't know.
Is there anyone that just sticks out to you or that you remember the most or that people have commented on?
Probably the one where when you were sick and you had cancer and your husband didn't treat you right. He left you and years later he saw you in the hall of a building. I don't know if it was a hospital or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you said hi to him, I believe, but he couldn't believe it was you.
Yeah.
And he was totally stunned because of the way that he had treated you and so forth.
Do you go on vacation?
You bet I do.
She loves to go on vacation. You can't, there's no, what's that saying? No moss growing under your feet, no grass growing under your feet. She just doesn't stop. Even when she's home, she doesn't sit down. She's always on the go, on the go. She'll be up till like 2 a.m. working on projects, and she's always doing something. She got married later in life because she just wanted to travel the world first.
And went to college.
She went in her generation, women just got married right out of high school and became moms. She spent at least the first decade or more traveling the world, going to college, doing all the stuff she wanted to do. She wasn't going to be tied down immediately. Okay, so somebody asked, what did they say? Sending love from India. Oh, what's your favorite type of music?
Well, I do like classical music, and I do like some Western or rock and roll. Conway Twitty, you've never heard of him, and Pat Boone, and like Pat Boone, I gave her a compliment and wanted a book she'd written, and of course she said, "Who's Pat Boone?" And you folks probably don't know either because you're very young, but anyway. Look it up on the internet.
They are asking, what would be your dream vacation to go on?
My dream vacation? Switzerland and Austria. My next dream vacation.
Switzerland and Austria. We were trying to go there this summer, but they're all closed due to COVID. They're not allowing outside travelers. They want to know, how did you help me when I had anxiety? I don't think I even told my mom I had it, so she didn't know, and it kind of developed later in high school when I was getting bullied a lot. And even in my 20s, out here in Hollywood. So my mom wasn't really there when it was the worst because I had already moved away from home. How much did Katherine weigh when she was born?
8.5 pounds.
I was a big baby, 8.5 pounds. I feel like I was always kind of bigger. Well, maybe not. No, I wasn't big. Well, how come Uncle Eldon used to call me Husky?
Well, it's probably during the time you worked at a donut shop.
Oh, Lily said I was 6 pounds when I was born. Ethan said I had anxiety too. So there was just that Dhar Mann episode this week. That was the anxiety one. So a lot of them are referencing that Dhar Mann video. How did you meet Dhar Mann? It was just on one of the shoots. He was there. Jarrell says I was a big baby. All right, someone put Conway Twitty. He died in 1993 at age 59.
Yeah, he sang a lot of neat songs.
I always hated school myself. Almost everybody was insane except me. What is your favorite snack and drink?
My favorite snack and drink?
My favorite snack is fruit. My favorite drink is water. I guess I'm boring. What's yours?
I hate to tell you this, but I love Mexican food, so margarita would be my favorite drink.
There's my mom liking them margaritas.
or otherwise Coke.
Okay. So Lily knows that you used to be a hairdresser, and she wants some tips for her hair. What kind of hair tips? My mom actually got out of that hairdressing before I was born and became a nurse instead. So I don't know what kind of hair tips she might have nowadays. She's ever since I knew her, she was a nurse. So her hair care days were before my arrival on this earth. Okay. I've always wanted to go to Hell's Kitchen. What advice would you give me?
Hell's Kitchen?
It's like a famous restaurant area in New York. Is it an area of restaurants, or is Hell's Kitchen one specific restaurant? They have a TV show, a cooking show on Hell's Kitchen.
It seems to me, when I was flipping channels, I noticed the Hell's Kitchen.
I have one big brother. Someone wants to know, do you have any pets?
Do I have any pets? I have loved animals, and totally against what the neighbor woman cares about. I feed the squirrels and the birds and the rabbits, and she says, "Why are you feeding the squirrels?" And I said, "Well, I love animals and all creatures great and small. Lord God made them all." And then she didn't have another word to say, and I continued feeding them. One day, she took the board down that I had propped against the tree to put the food in underneath, and I thought, what's happened here? And I put a big note on the tree that said, "Where are you that hates animals so much that you would take the prop down under which I put the food for the animals?" And the next day, in the morning, here's this big board thrown on our lawn. And then I took and nailed the board up against the tree. In fact, the tree was so hard I had to drill holes to get the nails in the tree. And I continued feeding my animals outside.
Someone wants to know if you're married.
Oh, yes. 52 years.
And I am also married. Do you play piano?
Well, I took piano lessons, but it really wasn't my thing at the time. I probably regret it afterwards, but my mother promised me a gold watch if I would continue taking piano lessons. And I said the most unkind thing to her, which I regretted later. I said, "It's not worth it."
I don't think that's very unkind. I don't think that's unkind. You just knew what you liked, and you weren't going to waste your years doing something you didn't like. It wasn't meant for you. Okay, someone wants to know, I have a lot of Indian fans, and Dhar Mann is Indian. Mm-hmm. They want to know if you like Indian food, if you've ever tried it.
Oh, I love it. Yes, Bollywood, Bollywood.
There's a restaurant out here, there's a chain of them called Bollywood, and She loves it. We have to, every time she comes, we have to go there. There's another Indian restaurant we've gone to before, but her favorite is called Bollywood here in Los Angeles.
They have one in Mankato, Minnesota, if you've heard of Mankato, Minnesota.
Is it the same company, you think?
No. I
Because
don't
that's
know if
probably a
it's,
common name. It
well,
might not-
it's called India Palace.
Okay.
And wonderful, wonderful food. And I like their naan bread. Oh, the garlic bread.
I made sure I had naan bread here. So someone who asked about her favorite snacks, I would say I buy things when she comes that I would never consume.
Of course not.
We've got Taster's Choice coffee. We've got Coca-Cola, which I would never drink. I'm more of a purist. I don't have as much fun as my mom. She likes to have fun. And I
love ethnic food. You know,
Yeah.
the Greek restaurants and
Yep, she
like to
likes
go to
Greek food. She loves Mexican food and
Thai food
margaritas.
and-
She loves Thai food.
everything imaginable as far as ethnic food.
So Lily's wanting to know, do you like Taiwanese, Chinese food?
Oh, I love Chinese food.
Hi, Verity.
I plumped up during this COVID business because we ordered many takeouts from the Chinese restaurant and the Mexican restaurant. And they have such good, tasty food.
Someone wants to know if you've tried Punjabi food.
Punjabi food, and what is that? I'm not certain of it.
How is Punjabi food different from Indian food? Punjabi is a kind of Indian. For instance, Dhar Mann is Punjabi.
Oh,
So it's a specific, I don't know, is it a specific area or is it a specific area?
I don't know. I'm not sure of it.
You'll have to give us more information. Someone wants to know if you've ever visited India before.
No, I haven't, and it certainly isn't a good time to go now because there's a lot of COVID.
Yeah. Do you and your mom like to watch Titanic?
I love it. It's one of my favorite movies.
She doesn't sit through movies very often. She doesn't like to go to the movie theater. She likes to watch at home so she can take a break and get up and do stuff and not have to sit all the way through a movie. But
No, and one of my favorite is The Sound of Music, and that's another reason why I want to go to
The Sound of
Austria.
Music.
So, and I like musicals, movies, and so forth.
Have you ever visited Greece?
Yes, in 1966.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if I knew that. I knew you've been to Egypt.
Yeah.
Saw the pyramids. She has an Egyptian table she brought home from there.
Brass top table.
Someone, oh, go ahead.
And Katie's brother and a friend just got back from Egypt probably 3 weeks ago, and they immensely loved it.
Someone wants to know if you've ever tried Pakistani food.
Well, I may have, because we have some friends that were part Pakistanese and Indian, and we had been invited to their home and ate all different kinds of variety of foods. And we've been to one of the weddings. He was Muslim and she was not a Buddhist. What was she? Hindu. She was Hindu. And of course, his parents were against
Frank.
that marriage, So,
Thank you, Noreen.
and everybody has their differences, but I think that's diversion really makes, things more interesting.
Diversity makes things more interesting.
Absolutely. I got friends of all kinds.
Yeah. So somebody asked, do you believe in Christ?
I certainly do.
There you have it. Straight from Mama. Have you ever tried Vietnamese food?
Vietnamese food, no, but there's a restaurant in Mankato, Minnesota, which is 10 miles from our place. I just haven't quite made it there yet, but one
You'll
day
have
I'll
to
go
now.
there.
You'll have to now, then you'll have to come back next year and give a report. Oh, somebody just said they love my necklace. This was a gift from someone, and this was a gift from somebody who's actually on this live, and I forget the name of the company, but it's made by autistic people, and it supports different autism things to help them be more independent. So I'm glad you like it. Let's see. Have you heard of Bollywood Hindi music? Or have you heard of the Bollywood music? They have like Bollywood music videos. Have you ever seen any of those?
No, I haven't.
So that one restaurant we went to with Christy, out where they had the buffet,
Oh, yeah.
that they had playing on the TV screens
okay.
Bollywood music videos the whole time we were there. So you saw some and you didn't know it. Hi, Vishwas. Have you tried dim sum?
What is that?
Dim sum. What is dim sum? Is it like pot stickers? It might be like pot stickers. Have you tried roast dinner? I don't know what that is, Verity. I love dim sum. I am Malaysian Chinese. Have you visited Albania?
No, I haven't.
Me either. I haven't gone anywhere.
That would be a good place to go.
I have only, up until 2 years ago, when I took my mom to Ireland, because she always wanted to go there, up until 2 years ago, I had only visited Mexico and Canada, and that didn't really feel like going anywhere, because when you live in California, we just drive over the border. It's like Mexico's kind of almost part of California anyway. And then when I went to Canada, we just drove up. It was like northern Minnesota to us. So my husband and I drove there early on. This is a funny reason, I used to collect Pez dispensers. Who remembers Pez dispensers? They were these little candies, and I found out there was certain Pez dispensers you could get in Canada that you couldn't get in Minnesota. So that's one of the reasons we drove to Canada, so I could buy Pez dispensers for my collection. I don't have a collection anymore. You don't need to send me any Pez dispensers. I got rid of them. I only got into that because when I first started dating my husband Rob, when I was a teenager, his parents went to antique shows every single weekend, and I would go with them, and I didn't have anything I was collecting. They all had different things they collected, and I wasn't collecting anything. So I love candy. I love sweets. So I was like, I'll start collecting Pez dispensers. And then every weekend I'd go and maybe find an old rare antique Pez dispenser. And I had a showcase and a collection for a while, but that's not my jam anymore. Jolene wants to know what your favorite Mexican food is.
My favorite Mexican food.
Mine's guacamole.
Well, I love guacamole too. My favorite Mexican
I love rice.
food.
I love rice and beans.
I like chimichangas.
Chimichangas. Is that a dessert thing?
Well, it's a food that is wrapped in tortilla shell, and it's deep fried with sauces on top.
Is it savory or is it sweet?
No, it's savory.
Oh, okay.
I don't really like anything too sweet. I'd rather have hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. Someone's asking me when I'm going to do a Q&A with my son. You're the first person to ask me. Would you guys be interested in me doing a Q&A with my 13-year-old son? Let me know. If I get 6 people to say yes, could my moderators keep track of that? If 6 people say yes, I will do a Q&A with my son. If they say yes, I want to see a Q&A with your son. Okay, dim sum is a variety, is like a steamed dumpling. I love dumplings, but
A steamed dumpling, is that with the pasta?
yeah.
Yeah, all around.
I love those, but I don't do good with gluten. So I've been trying to stay off the gluten. So, yeah. You know what, a roast dinner, is that like a pot roast, Verity? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Have you tried baryari? Can you tell us what that is? Do you love pasta? Oh, 7 people have said yes. Oh, 10 people. So I'm going to have to do a Q&A one of these days with Timothy. All right. I have 6 yeses. Okay, that would be an interesting one. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Sometimes I wonder. you know, back when they diagnosed Timothy with intellectual disabilities, I didn't know if he was understanding me. Like when he was 4, I didn't know. And then one time we were actually back home visiting Minnesota, and you know, they had told me he was never going to walk or talk. And I think at this time he was 3 or 4, and I remember we were in that restaurant called the Coffee Hag, and Timothy never had been responding ever when I would say stuff, and something happened, and I said, "Timothy, come here." And he looked up at me and he acknowledged me and he came to me. And I remember being so overwhelmed with like tears of joy that my son understood what I was saying, because they basically told me he didn't have much going on up here. So
Well, he was born early.
Yeah, he had a 90% chance of dying, the doctor said. And he was clinically dead at one point, was not getting oxygen to his brain at all. And I was working, so he was in the NICU, intensive care unit. They were calling my mom to ask for permission. Didn't they call you?
No, I didn't.
They called me. Okay, they were calling.
Working, you were, you know.
I was out parking cars. See.
And they should have resuscitated him right away, because he did not have a do not resuscitate or intubate. They should have started immediately, but they didn't. They were waiting for answer from her.
And I don't know if I was able to answer the phone right away. That was a long story. I'm going to write about it in my memoir, about that experience in the NICU. I've been saying I'm going to write this memoir for 13 years. And I've just, every time I try to write it, I just start bawling and I start crying so much that I can't get myself to do it. And it was on my goal poster for this year again. But I know Amber's trying to hold me accountable to write that. But I don't think it's going to happen this year either, because I have to focus on getting my You Are Worthy course out. Okay. Someone wants to know, Frank wants to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how proud are you of the person I've become?
Well, it's right up there. It's 9.5.
You can be honest.
When she gets her other projects done, it'll be a 10.
She's been on me too to write that book. So sounds like if I actually write that book like I've been saying I'm going to do for the last 13 years, then I'll be a 10 in her book. Someone wants to know if I can do that evil laugh. We were just watching a bunch of the Dhar Mann videos last night, because my mom hasn't seen the last few months worth because her internet has been having problems. And I noticed I have a kind of a slightly different evil laugh for each of the different characters I played. So I was watching that last night. Barb, old as gold, had a certain laugh, and it was different from the one where I was tormenting Ricki for being single. That was a slightly different laugh. And then I had a different laugh for the one with the girl with the skin problems. So, yeah. Do you like the BTS? Well, what do you guys think of the BTS? Do you guys think the BTS was a good addition to the Dhar Mann videos? I haven't showed you any of those yet, but
what is that?
BTS means behind the scenes.
Oh.
So Dhar Mann started a behind the scenes channel. So on certain shoots where it's like a bigger cast, more teenagers, more lively or more important stuff going on, they have another cameraman there who's like doing behind the scenes footage, interviewing people and all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you one of those. All right. Do live with Dhar Mann. I don't even know, does Dhar Mann even do lives? I don't even know if he does that. I guess I saw him do one like a year and a half ago on Instagram or Facebook. Sorry, I'm coughing a lot today. I have a catch in my throat.
Dry in here?
I don't know. It's a bit like Christmas dinner. So roast is a bit like Christmas dinner. Well, you know, Verity, I know do you live in England? I know dinner might be different. I know, I forgot my water again. I drank some before we started. When is your new book publishing? Okay, so somebody else said behind the scenes ruins the magic for me. So I published my last book was it November 1st of last year? And that was Poetic Prescriptions for Pesky Problems. That was my second edition. I wrote that book like 12 years ago, and I decided to rewrite the entire thing, every poem in the book completely different, and put out a second edition because I felt like my writing skills had grown, but also like my spiritual relationship with God had grown, and I wanted to be able to say things on a deeper level and more succinctly. So I know a lot of people were like, why are you rewriting a book you already wrote? Just put a new one, just write a new one. But
No wonder you don't get Timothy's done.
yeah, because no wonder I don't get Timothy's book done, because I'm busy rewriting old books I've already written. Yeah, I gotta stop that. But yeah, no, I have never spoken to Sniper Wolf. Verity says I live in the UK. She was the one asking about Christmas dinner. You'll have to tell us what's in your Christmas dinner. So someone is saying we should go, you and I should go to Malaysia. Tell me, what's the draw to Malaysia? Did you go to college, and what was your dream job?
Well, my dream job was being a nurse and waiting on people and doing special things for them. And, well, it just was relating to people. So, yeah.
I did not go to college, and I don't know if I had a dream job, but I told, like, we had to fill out this thing in high school that said, you know, what professions could you see yourself doing or whatever, and I mean, I said a teacher, which I kind of feel like I am a teacher when I put my videos out that give you guys like life advice. I also said a nurse because my mom was my role model. And I kind of find myself, I've played several nurses in the movies, and I also find myself kind of nursing people. That's just part of the hospitality gift that I've gotten from my mom. And I also said a model, which is ridiculous for someone being my height and my weight, but at the time I'm like, I don't know, that seems like the people in the magazines I would read, so that sounded like a cool thing at the time.
Well, when I was in high school, we had to write what we wanted to do for a career, and I said art teacher because I love art and I love decorating and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, there's that sculpture you made sitting in your library at home. So you had some artistic skills.
Well, I would like to paint too, but to me that seems like a lot of effort to paint a picture.
Well, not only that, that's a lot of sitting around, and you don't sit around. I mean, you have to like. It takes days and days and days to do.
Well, your brother keeps doing his over. He'll paint a nice picture.
Yeah.
And then he'll redo it.
Yeah, so my brother's a painter. He's got a lot of cool paintings. I have a couple in the house. See, is there any in this room? No, I don't have any of his in this room. How many languages do you speak?
1.
She speaks 1 English and a tiny, tiny smidge of Norwegian because she's 100% Norwegian, she likes to tell me.
Well,
I'm 100% Norwegian.
But my sister Sandra, she had that ancestry done.
I was going to ask about that. I said, oh no, you're getting your ancestry done. What if my mom finds out she's not 100% Norwegian, like she's believed her whole life? So what was the result?
I would say that having the same parents, that I'd be the same. But I understand not necessarily so, because you might take traits from different ancestors than what your siblings do, which really surprised me.
So it could be different for each of you. If you both did the ancestry thing, you could get different results.
But hers came back 96% Norwegian, 2% Finnish, and 2% Swedish. So basically it's Scandinavian, but 90% Norwegian.
96% Norwegian.
96%.
So your boast of 100% Norwegian has been shattered now. My whole life, I'm 100% Norwegian. Now you find out you're only 96%.
Yeah, that's not really on the top of my list for traveling either.
She doesn't want to go there? You don't want to go there?
Well, someday maybe, but
later, after all the other trips.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever hated a Dhar Mann actor? No, I have not. There may be 1 or 2 I've been annoyed with, but I wouldn't say hated. I don't really hate anybody. I can't think of anybody I hate.
No.
Except for maybe people who hurt children.
Oh,
And maybe,
yeah.
you know, and then I don't know if I really hate them. I hate what they do. And I want to pray for them. All right. So, Arlene, do you like hairless rats? What a weird question.
I don't know, but there is a breed of dogs that do not have hair. They just have a little tuft on the top of their head. And we were at a hummingbird convention in a little town not too far from St. Peter where I live. And there was this dog. He wasn't a very big dog, a tiny dog with that little tuft of hair. And you'd never believe what his name was. Harry.
Okay, so that's a funny name. So
But he didn't have any hair. He was just like a rat without any hair. He didn't have any, like a newborn mouse or something. No hair except that little tuft.
Oh.
And they named him Harry.
It's like those big giant guys, and you're like, what's his name? Tiny.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody wants to know, what's your accent? That is a Minnesota accent.
Well, you know, when I come out here, they know exactly where I'm from. You must be from Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. So Minnesota, I'm just going to exaggerate it a little bit here, but they say, oh, yeah, lutefisk, lefse. I'm from Minnesota, you betcha. Oh, yeah, you don't say. And then they tell the Sven and Oli jokes, because it's all the Swedish and Norwegian people, don't you know? So that's my exaggeration of a Minnesota accent. So my dad is Swedish. My mom is Norwegian. But I also, from dad's side, he's mostly Swedish, but he also has Irish, English, and Danish. And now I find out I might be a little Finnish. And he might be a little Finnish too, right?
Yeah, who knows?
So we don't really know for sure.
And it doesn't matter. We're all people, you know. Everyone's special in their own.
Oh, Mom, here it is. Mint Yorkshire puddings and vegetables, stuffing pigs in blankets. So that is a Christmas meal in the UK.
Yeah.
Yorkshire, yeah. So have you ever had anything like that?
Well, I have. I've had part of that. You know.
I used to love going to get pigs in the blanket when I was a little kid.
But that's a different thing.
It's a different kind of thing. So when I was a kid, my dad would take me to Country Kitchen before church. And sometimes I would get these pigs in a blanket, and they were basically just sausages, breakfast sausages wrapped in pancakes with syrup on. But then I got over that, and I started going to get these giant cinnamon rolls, because I've always had
that was like a whole loaf of
an
bread.
entire plate. I would eat these cinnamon rolls. You can see why I loved working in a donut shop. I would eat like 7 donuts a day. Do you watch Ayden from Dhar Mann on YouTube? I do not. I don't think I've ever seen his channel. However, I'm supposed to be in his video today on his channel as the Dhar Mann actors face off against the Piper Raquel squad that he's in, the squad. So we had a water gun fight and a water balloon fight. I think that was last week. And that video is coming up today on Ayden Mekus' channel. So you guys will have to let me know how that is. Oh, so somebody's saying they love a movie I was in, Chicago Massacre, Richard Speck. I don't think you saw that one, but that was about that real life.
Yeah, the student nurses that were killed. Yeah.
I was in that movie.
I saw that.
You did?
Yeah.
I had a small role.
And I remember that from, when it happened.
Wow.
It was in, I think, Cook County, Chicago.
Okay. So you guys, we're hitting the 59 minutes. You guys know I usually go for an hour. So I know we didn't get to all your questions, but if there's any last questions you have for my mom, since this is the one and only time you're going to get to see her, probably, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, I don't know. We'll see. So have you ever acted in any of the familiar movies? If so, please mention it. I don't think I've been in a popular movie, because I've mostly done independent films which are small, little, low-budget films. If you look at my IMDb, imdb.com, and you type in my name, it'll show you a list of credits. I've been in some sort of recognizable TV shows. Beauty and the Baller, I was in 2 episodes that aired on BET. I was in 1 episode of Malcolm in the Middle. I was on the TV show Snapped, which is true life stories, reenactments. Yeah. Oh, somebody wants to know, what was your reaction when you found out I had 2 different colored eyes?
I thought it was wonderful. It's unique.
Oh, Orly wants to know if you've ever been to New York City.
No.
Me
Just
either.
at the airport. Just at the
So
airport.
she's been to the airport.
Flying in and out from different countries.
Well, there you go. I have not been to New York either. So, okay, so I think that's going to be it for today. We hit the hour mark. Thank you for tuning in for the Q&A with my mom, and I hope you guys found that beneficial. You got to know us a lot better. Well, you got to meet her for the first time. You got to know me better by asking her stuff. All right, guys, have a beautiful Sunday.